I'd been an agent for about 6 or 7 years, and I had this opportunity to now manage and lead people, and I was excited. But as I got into my role, I started to realize, holy cow, I mean, we've got a lot of work to do. If you remember back in 2005, the market was fantastic. But in our office, our systems were outdated, our processes were cumbersome, and our technology was just holding us back. And what happened is that caused me to be just hyper-focused on the day-to-day, putting out fires. Business was coming in, and it wasn't coming in because of anything I was doing. The market was just great. And so I was just constantly putting out fires, talking to agents, talking to customers. And it was sort of this unhealthy focus on what Shannon talked about, current reality. And it was at that time that I started working with Building Champions. I hired them I wanted them to be my coach, and the first thing, or one of the first things my coach started talking to me about was shifting my perspective. He said he wanted me to lift my head out of the day-to-day and putting out fires and to start to see what was possible 5, 10, 15 years down the road. He wanted me to have more of a long-term vision. And he talked about vision being both a journey and a destination. And I don't know about you, but this was new to me. He talked about it in ways I really hadn't heard of before. He talked about it as something that my team and I would belong to our vision. We would become our vision, and we would build it together. This was all new, and I began to realize that vision was much more than just maybe a few catchphrases that I could put on a t-shirt, right? Or more than just a few statements that I needed to communicate at a Christmas party or at a sales meeting every once in a while. No, vision was going to be the beginning and the end to every single plan, every single strategy, every new opportunity we were looking at, every new target market that we were going after. It all began and ended with vision. And so one of the things my coach said to me is like, Dan, I want you to see that, and then I want you to create it. I want you to get it in writing. And for me, I was a little afraid to do that. Because I don't know if you're like me, but if I write a to-do list, I get to the end of the day, and if those boxes aren't checked off that they're done, I kind of take that personally. It's kind of frustrating for me. I don't feel like the day was successful. If I write a business plan, 90 days out or for a year out, and I don't hit those goals, then man, it's devastating for me. So the idea of him telling me to go out and create my vision and get it in writing, I was afraid to do that. I had these voices that sort of circled around in my head, things like they were saying like, Dan, you've never led like this before. Watch out, people won't want to follow you. They said things like, Dan, what if no one wants to follow you at all? What if you fail at your vision? You guys have those voices? Coach Drew talks about them as the voice of the saboteur. And that voice of the saboteur was very real and very, very loud as my coach started telling me, hey, you got to create that vision. You got to get it down on paper. But I also had his voice, and it was a voice of encouragement. And so I decided I would try to do it. I would take this day off. I would escape from the office. I would get away from all the emails, all the voicemails, all the phones, the texting, the agents calling me saying, this appraisal didn't come in, or this home inspection's bad. What am I going to do? The deal's falling apart. And I just escaped. I found a place where I could relax, I could reflect, and I just started writing. I started writing down what I saw out into the future for our team. I started writing. I'd erase things. I'd write some more. I'd crumple stuff up, and I'd throw it away. I'd get frustrated. I'd get up. I'd go for a walk. I'd think about things. I'd think about what was possible. And then I'd think, what could I dream about? Let's take away reality. Let's just say if it was just, I could dream big, what would it look like? And finally, at the end of the day, I was done. I had my 2-page vision document. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. I mean, I was passionate about it. Yes, it was idealistic in some ways. It talked about big goals that we wanted to achieve, but it came from the depths of my heart. And for the first time, all of my thoughts on leadership, all of my thoughts on what we could possibly achieve as a team, how we could enter into new markets, how we could help new customers, I could see those things crystal clear because I was seeing my business from a new perspective. I was seeing my business through a long-term vision perspective. So I, of course, turn in my business vision to my coach, and I'm thinking, okay, check the box, I'm done. What's next, coach? What are we moving on to? And he's like, whoa. That's great. You're done, Dan, but now you've got to share that vision. Oh my gosh, no. And I'm like, those voices start to come back again, If I thought they were loud before, but again, I had that voice of encouragement just saying, Dan, you gotta have a meeting. You gotta tell your folks what you see. If you don't tell them what you see, how are you ever gonna get them to follow you? So I decided to set up a meeting. And let me kind of just share with you what it would look like. I, of course, brought in a lot of food because, you can't get realtors to do anything unless there's food there. And so ordered a bunch of food. I've got about 40 agents in the room. No one has heard my vision yet. So this will be the first time. I'm nervous, but I'm also kind of passionate. I read the thing again, and I'm looking at it, and I start to tell them who we are, what I see about us. I start to look at it, and I start to tell them, where we're going. I point them towards the future and what we're going to achieve. And in fact, I brought it up here. I thought I'd share just a little bit of it with you. I still carry this around. You can see I've written on it, and I highlight things, but I thought it might be helpful just for you guys to hear maybe what a vision might sound like when it's all written out. I shared with them our purpose statement. I said our team purpose is to create an engaging work environment where we passionately provide great real estate experiences and we increase the overall quality of life for the community and the customers that we serve. I talked to them about our core convictions, the things that I wanted them to make decisions from and to hold to and stand up for. I talked to them about how one of our convictions was going to be individual and team development. I said we will consistently work on improving our individual and collective skills and knowledge to better serve our community. I told them we were going to be a team that had a conviction of integrity. We will keep our word to always serve. We will use our convictions as a filter for all of our decisions that need to be made affecting our business and our clients. And the document goes on. It talks about our key areas of development, our culture, our community, how we were going to do training, how we were going to do marketing. I talked to them about how we were going to have a coaching culture and how I was going to meet with them all one-on-one. And I shared with them my compelling ambition, this Mount Everest goal, if you will, of us achieving the number one position in market share for the very first time, something our company had never done, something this team of realtors had never done. I wanted to hold the number one position for market share in our region. And I got to tell you, when I was talking to them, I was on that day. I was passionate, I was excited, I was reviewing this, I could see it clearly, and as I finished, I looked out, and guess what I heard? Silence. Yeah, silence. A few nodding heads. A lot of people doing this, kind of giving me the stink eye. My wife's really good at that. I don't know if they talked to her before or... A lot of arms crossed, though. A lot of stink eye. Not really the response that I was hoping for. It was awkward. And so I quickly, as any good leader will do, I quickly end the awkward meeting and start talking about something that really has nothing to do with what we've been talking about. I ask about new listings and new sales. We get done with the meeting. They ravage the food and they're off. I go back to my office. I close my door. And my first thought is just, I'm going to kill my coach for making me do this. No. But my first thought was really, I had failed. And those voices started to get loud, and then all of a sudden, I had a knock on the door, And the guy pops his head and he says, "Hey, Dan, man, I loved what you said today. Great job. I just want you to know I'm in." All right. A few minutes later, another knock. "Hey, Dan, loved what you said. Great job. I'm in. Let's go for it." And then another, and then another, and then another. Now, not everybody came in that day. But I got to tell you, I left that night, and driving home, I was so much more hopeful than when I ended that awkward meeting with everybody with the stink eye and crossed arms looking at me. So let's fast forward now, 6 months down the road. Not everyone is on board. And this is my fault. I take full responsibility for it. I could have communicated my vision better. I could have used it more in planning. I could have ensured that everyone on our team knew that what our vision was, that it was a part of our culture, that it was guiding our culture. But I didn't. And I was now facing the repercussions of my lack of doing that. And see, I thought, in my brilliant mind, I thought all I have to do is write this thing down, like my coach said, share it once, and everybody's going to be on board. We'll just get to work, right? I was so wrong. So I mentioned to you that half my team kind of gave me the stink eye. Well, this is what happened. I had about half my team pulling and saying, come on, let's go. We can see Dan's vision. Let's go. And I had the other half of the team saying, no, we don't like change. We don't like Dan's vision. We don't even like Dan. And it was like, as a result, half my team walked out of me that day. Half my team decided to leave my office and go find another leader with another vision. Whew, that was a tough day. I was emotional. I remember going home. I wept. I thought I had completely failed. And I was sitting there the next day, and I just gotten the news that one of our top agents, wonderful woman that had been selling real estate long before I had, been part of our company for a long time. She was in my office, one of the cornerstone agents of my office, key top talent. And she decided that she too was going to leave and go to another leader and follow another vision. And I got this phone call that I knew was going to be coming. The phone rings. I see the caller ID. I know exactly who it is, and I say to myself, okay, get ready. You're about to be fired. Because it's my CEO. And I tell you, I look at that phone, and that thing weighed about 500 pounds, thinking about picking that thing up. And I actually thought I could hit Do Not Disturb. I could hit the lights, make sure the door is closed. You know, the receptionist won't know that I'm not there or that I'm there. But I answered the phone. I said hello. Let me see if I can remember exactly what he said. Oh, yeah, that's right. Dan, what the hell is going on over there? So in that moment, I've got a choice. I can apologize. I can resign. I could make excuses. I could shrink back from my vision. Or I could stand up for my vision. I could have courage. I could share my vision. I could defend my vision. And that's exactly what I did. I shared my vision with my CEO that day. I told him, yes, I have made a lot of stupid mistakes, but this is where we're going. This is what I see. This is who I think we can become, and I think we can achieve this number one position in market share. I just need more time. I have to communicate it better. I've got to use it better. I've got to make sure it's a part of our culture. And I have no idea why, but surprisingly, he said, okay, I'll give you some more time. And so I got to tell you, I was motivated way beyond belief because I thought for sure I was packing my bags that day. But I just set out to do things differently. Over the next year, I communicated my vision consistently. I ensured that it was a part of all of our culture, that everybody knew it, that people could repeat it. They got 3x5 cards with our purpose statement on it, our convictions on it. We used it in all of our planning and all of our strategy sessions. I lived my vision every single day. My team lived it every single day. I began to share my vision on all of my recruiting appointments. And over the course of the next 12 months, I was able to hire 18 new agents to fill up my office. I witnessed for the first time the magnetic pull of vision and how it can help you attract talent. 2 years later, we've opened another office down the road because we've grown so much. And guess what? We reached that compelling ambition, that Mount Everest goal that we had set. Through all of our hard work, through focusing on our vision, understanding our current reality, absolutely, but not getting tied up in the day-to-day, putting out fires so much, having that destination out in front of us, we captured the number one position in market share for our region. None of this, it's all them, let me tell you. None of this would have been possible had I not picked my head up out of the unhealthy focus of just putting out fires, the day-to-day stuff. Business, yes, it's good, it's coming in, but I had no idea where we were going. Had I not learned to see my business through the perspective of long-term vision, this never would have happened. I wouldn't be standing here today. So that's my story of how my career was saved by having a long-term vision perspective. And the cool thing now is that as a coach, I get to work with people just like you. And I get to work with leaders every single day to help them develop this perspective. And I've seen it transform your leadership. I've seen long-term vision help teams, empower them to make better decisions, empower them to see new opportunities and new products and new services that they wouldn't have even thought about. I've seen it tie their work that they're currently doing to a greater purpose, so they don't feel like it's just, punching a clock, pulling a lever, pushing a button, making a chicken sandwich, closing a loan, closing a deal. For leaders, I've seen it give you just a ton of confidence in knowing which decisions to make. I've seen it help you influence your people, to give them hope, to give them that destination that they can look to in the future, 5 years, 10 years down the road. I've seen it give leaders amazing courage, the courage that has you go from thinking, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I can't do this, to standing up for your vision and defending your vision and saying in challenging times, we can get through this because we can see a better tomorrow. The best is yet to come still. Guys, we just got to hold on. Let's stick to our convictions. Let's stick to our purpose. We can do this. I believe each and every single one of you, though, in this room can develop the perspective of long-term vision. And I think you can do it by following 3 steps. And that's what I want to walk you through today, okay? Those 3 steps are, number 1, you create your vision. Number 2, you communicate your vision. And number 3, you strategically use your vision. Let's dive into each of those just a little bit more. Step 1, you've got to create your vision. If you want to increase your influence and you want to make better decisions, then you have to have a clear and compelling vision, and it's got to be in writing. You see, it's not okay for it just to be in your head like I wanted it to be. You've got to get it down on paper. And that's what today's all about for you. We're going to give you the time and the space to do that. We have come up with a framework, 3 questions that we believe are going to help you to build your vision. Those questions are, what will we belong to? Who will we become? And what are we going to build together? Okay? That's all about creating your vision and getting it down on paper. It starts with you answering those 3 questions. Let's look at each of them. What will we belong to? All of us have this deep desire to pursue something bigger than just the products we make and the services we provide, right? When we answer this question, we start to define for our people our purpose, our big why, the reason why that we're asking them to trade in their time, their resources. Maybe they could work closer to home, but we want them to work here with us. There's got to be a purpose there that gets them out of bed every day and has them drive 25 miles like I do to Building Champions, one way, and 25 miles back home. I'll tell you, it's because of our purpose and what we get to do every day. That's what you're going to answer in this question. You're going to define your convictions for your people. You're going to ask them to stand for something. You're going to ask them to have these convictions guide all of their behaviors and to help them make decisions when they're talking to customers, when they've got a new product or a new opportunity, when they're facing challenges. What are you going to ask them to belong to? What's going to be unique? What's going to set you apart from every other company that's out there? Because we know right now that people only work, maybe 2-3 years at a job. I was talking to Andrea from Brazil, and her and I were talking just the other day about how the average person now only works like 3 years for a job. And we were celebrating the fact that she had worked much longer than that. We talked about loyalty, how it's different. You want to increase your loyalty, you got to tell people what they're going to belong to. You got to give them a picture of what that looks like. The next question, who will we become? This is the fun storytelling piece of your vision. If you enjoy telling stories, if you like seeing things out in the future, this is it. This is where you get to describe in detail what the future looks like for you and your team and your customers. What is your culture going to look like? What is your customer experience going to look like? What markets will you enter? How are you going to do coaching in your company? How are you going to do training? How are you guys going to go out and have an impact on the world? You describe that in detail. And what it does is it helps your team connect their daily routine, the stuff that they're doing day in and day out in that cubicle, in your restaurant, wherever it is that they work, with what they see in the future. And they say, okay, man, I just got to keep doing this with excellence, because what we're doing, this is good work. And I can see that it's taking us someplace. I can see that it's helping us to improve not only the lives of the people we serve, but our community. You connect that, you make that connection with them, and you're going to win their heart. The third question, what are we going to build together? These are those compelling ambitions, those Mount Everest type goals, that 11,000, 12,000 foot peak that when other people hear about these goals, they're going to look at you and go, what? Come on, man. Are you serious? Do you actually think you can achieve the number one position in market share? And the answer might be, on my own. The answer is probably no. No, I can't do that. But you give me a committed group of people, and they know where they're going, they know what they're becoming, they know what they belong to. The answer is, hell yes, we can do that. We can climb that mountain. We can reach that summit. If you want to increase your influence, if you want to make better decisions, you have to have a clear and compelling vision, and it's got to be in writing. That's step one. Step two, once you've got that, you have to communicate your vision. Don't make the mistake that I did, thinking that all you have to do is get it down in writing, maybe say it once at a sales meeting, and everybody will just, yes, great, awesome, I'm in, and they'll just go at it and go for it. It doesn't happen, guys. Does not happen. This is all about your opportunity to influence your people, okay? It's not enough just to put it down on paper. They have to be able to see where you're going. They have to be able to see opportunities. They have to be able to make good decisions, and they can't do that if they don't know what the vision is, if they don't hear you talking about it, if you haven't required them to know it and learn it and speak it and make it a part of who they are and what they do every day. When you do that, that's actually when they start to see new opportunities, right? That's when they're able to make better decisions, because they understand the vision. They've heard it from you. A Harvard Business Review recently did a survey of about 1,000 workers across the world. And they asked them a couple of questions, but the main question was, okay, if you were to go and willingly work for a leader, what are the top attributes that you would be looking for in that leader? The number one attribute, and we can probably all agree with this, was that they wanted the leader to be honest and to have integrity, right? We can all probably hope for that. The number two, though, attribute was sort of surprising for them. The number two attribute that they discovered was that people wanted, 88% of workers said they want to see a leader communicate vision from a long-term perspective. They want to have more long-term perspective communication, guys. Where are we going? How is what we're doing today going to influence where we're at tomorrow? How are the decisions we're making today? What is that? How is it getting us closer to that Mount Everest goal? How is it helping us enter into new markets? How is it helping us capture more market share, serve our clients better, create a better culture for us? They want that communication. And so Harvard Business Review said, all right, well, if we know what people want, honesty and integrity and long-term vision perspective, I wonder how much of their time are leaders actually spending communicating vision? You guys know what they discovered? What percentage of their time is actually spent? 3%. 3% of the time, leaders are actually spending vision. It's time communicating vision. What do you think? You know what I think? I think opportunity. right? This is a huge opportunity for you as a leader. You have something that your people desperately want. You know what it is, and you can deliver it to them without spending millions of dollars on some program or hundreds of thousands of dollars on something. They want you to communicate vision as a leader. Whether you lead a 3-person team or a team of 4,000, you've got to be talking to them about where you're going. What does tomorrow look like? What does the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years look like? It's a huge opportunity. You've got to consistently communicate your vision. Do it in one-on-ones. Do it in events. Do it in regular meetings. Whatever it is. But consistently do it. Shannon talked about how every Monday morning we have our get-together with all of our team and we hear about vision. Daniel shares maybe it's a part of our purpose. Maybe it's a core conviction. But he shares that with us and we talk about it. You got to get creative. It's not okay just to stand up there and say, let's talk about vision today, everybody. No, get creative. Do a video message. Do something with your marketing department. Have them send out something in the monthly newsletter that takes one aspect of that vision, where you interview someone and you talk about how they're seeing that play out in your company. You're talking about it as a leader. You're recognizing someone. You got to make it meaningful. Shannon talked about how in current reality, you got to celebrate when you reach goals and you reach certain milestones. But as a leader, you also have to celebrate when you see someone living out your vision. When you see that team member handling that customer with grace and with dignity and honor and respect, you got to go to them and say, oh, that was awesome. I loved watching your interaction with that client. And you want to know why? Not because we're going to get the sale, but because I see you living out our vision. I see you living out that core conviction we have around customer service and integrity and a client experience that I described. You've got to make it meaningful for them. Now, some of you might be saying, Dan, that's great. You had a team of 40, and communicating vision to 40 that's easy. I lead a team of 400. I lead a team of 1,400. Are you telling me that I've got to communicate with every single one of my people? It's not going to happen. I don't have time for that. They just told me that I should only do things that I absolutely have to do. Well, guess what? This is one of those things that you absolutely have to do. This is probably one of your highest payoff activities. It's your primary responsibility to communicate vision. But here's the thing. Vision communication begins with you, but it doesn't end with you. So if you do lead a team, a large team, and you maybe have direct reports that meet with you on a regular basis, you've got to communicate it to them. And then you've got to set the expectation that they are then communicating it to their direct reports. And those guys are communicating it to their direct reports, and on and on and on, down through the ranks to the trenches. That's vision communication. It starts with you, but it doesn't end with you. And that's how you do it in a large organization. And if you want to know if your vision is actually being communicated by the people that report directly to you and whether they're doing it to the folks that report to them, guess what you do? You go have a coffee with someone a couple layers down from you, a couple of levels down. And you say, hey, tell me, where do you think we're going? What do you see? What's our purpose? How do you see our convictions helping you do your job? And if they can articulate those to you, awesome. The cascading communication is working. If they can't and they're like, purpose? What's a conviction? It's not working, and you probably need to go then and have a serious talk with those people that report directly to you. It starts with you, but it doesn't end with you. This is your opportunity to influence them, okay? This is the key point. If you could write one thing down on this vision communication, get out your pens, put the phones down. Vision communication does not happen by default. It happens by design. Vision communication does not happen by default. It happens by design. What kind of visionary leader do you want to be? A leader that just does things by default? Okay, whatever happens, that's what we're supposed to do. Or a leader that does things by design, that has a vision communication strategy? Today's your day to decide that. You've got to create your vision, you've got to communicate your vision, and you have to strategically use your vision. This is all about using your vision to make better decisions, influencing them and communicating it and letting them see it in writing, making better decisions through strategically using that vision, okay? And this is really important because there is nothing that will kill a culture of an organization faster than when you as a leader don't walk the talk. To be honest with you, I think this is one of the reasons why I was so stinking afraid to put my vision down on paper. Because if I don't check off all the boxes, if I don't hit my goals on my business plan, I told you I take that personally. But if I write my vision down and I'm not making decisions that are in alignment with it, oh my gosh, another way I've not only disappointed myself, but now my team is like, well, Dan talks a good game, but man, when it's time for him to make a tough decision on whether to let someone go, he makes it with his heart and his emotions rather than looking at what's going to help us get there. That'll kill your culture. People will stop following you. They'll think you're a phony. They'll think you're like every other company out there that's got a vision, that's got a purpose statement, that's got a list of core values you can find on their website. We don't want it to be like that. We want it to be where you're actually using your vision every single day. You're living it out, and your team is living it out. And there's a couple of big buckets that I want to focus on when we talk about strategically using your vision. That's using it in planning, and it's using it in your people. Let's talk about planning first, okay? Your vision becomes your most important planning tool when you're creating your short-term and your long-term goals and strategies. And if you're going to reach those goals, you've got to have strategies and plans that are all tied to your vision. You know, there's this great scene in Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you remember this or not, where Alice is kind of stumbling around in the forest and she's lost, and all of a sudden she comes upon this tree where the Cheshire Cat is up in the limb. You guys remember that? And she looks up and she says, okay, would you please tell me, which way am I supposed to go? And the cat says, well, that depends a good deal on where it is you want to go. And she says, oh, well, I guess I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. And the Cheshire Cat says something brilliant. He says, well, then it doesn't matter which way you go. Guys, that's the same thing about vision. If you don't know where you're going, if you don't have a destination that you're headed towards, what strategy you choose doesn't matter. What your plan looks like, I don't care as a coach. You got to have a vision. We got to have a destination that we're headed towards. When your people and your company, your organization, when they're armed with vision, they can look at new products and services. They can look at opportunities, and they can say, okay, wait a minute. Can we do this with excellence? Does it actually tie into our vision and where we're going? And if it doesn't, why the heck are we doing it? Why are we going down this road? Why are we going to waste time and resources? This is taking us off track. We've had that all happen before, haven't we? Where we're all scratching our head going, okay, this is new. Yeah, let's try it. No, when you've got a vision, your people can ask those questions and they can say, all right, we've been thinking about it. I just don't see how this ties to our vision. I don't see it getting us towards our Mount Everest goals, our compelling ambitions. I don't see it helping us live out our purpose and help us in those key areas of development. I just don't think we should go that route. Those are good, strong, open communications that are going to help you use your vision strategically. Let's talk about people. Your vision helps you attract, retain, and structure your talent. Attract, retain, and structure your talent. Clearly defined, compelling, and writing, when your vision has all those attributes, it becomes a magnet for great talent. I witnessed that as I started sharing it more and more in my community and as I talked to other realtors that I wanted on my team. And what I learned is that leaders with long-term perspective, they're rare. Okay? If all of you leave here today, you'll probably be about 1% of the rest of the world that actually has it. A vision that is more than just a few catchphrases that can go on letterhead, that can be put on the back of a t-shirt, that get talked about at a Christmas party saying, "We can do it, team," that's even rarer. See, you may not be able to offer the highest wages and the beautiful corner office with an awesome view of downtown or the lake or the forest, but if you can communicate your vision, where you're going, what your team belongs to, who they're becoming, what you're trying to build, and if you can communicate that to a prospective recruit, a talent that you want on your team, and you can share with them, "Hey, this is where we're going. This is the role that I see you playing. I think you're going to be a key addition to our team. I don't know that we can get there if we don't have you on board. This is what we're all about. This is where we're going. This is how I see you contributing." Wow, that's magnetic. That's the kind of stuff people are looking for. Vision also helps you keep those people close to home. Helps you retain them, right? Helps you keep them from wandering off and being like that statistic that Andrea and I were talking about the other day, where every couple years, what should I be? I want to go work for a different company. I want to go try something different. Or, that grass is always greener on the other side. It's a key factor in helping your team stay engaged to your culture. There's an ancient Hebrew proverb that says, "Where there is no vision, the people perish." Why is that? The people perish? That's pretty intense. Right? But we've all had those thoughts. We've probably all felt like we're kind of perishing inside when we see leaders that are not conviction-driven, when they're not living out the purpose, when they don't make decisions that align with anything that they've said in terms of where we're going and what we're trying to do and who we're trying to become. It's not just that it kills culture. A little bit of us is just like, I don't think I want to be here. Is this really the leader that I want to follow? Remember that Harvard survey? What are they looking for? Number one, they're looking for honesty and integrity. Then they're looking for that vision communication. If you're not being honest in how you make your decisions, you're not tying them to your vision, people aren't going to think the best is yet to come. They're going to think, "Man, it was good for a while, but I have no idea where we're going right now. I think I'm going to look for something else." They want to know the best is yet to come. They want to know how their role helps make a difference in the company, in the culture, where you're going, out in your community. They want leaders that use vision to make decisions, not emotions. Vision helps you structure your people as well and your talent. It helps you structure your talent to help you reach your goals. See, when you've got a clear vision of where you're going, you can get the right people in the right seats on the bus, going in the right direction, right? But here's the thing. If you do that, it means that you may have to start pushing loyalty more towards your vision than towards a position or a title within your organization. You may need to have loyalty more to your vision than to a position or title. And that's tough, because we like to own our positions. We like to own our titles. We like to own our territory. We've been doing it for years. This is our baby. But if you can get them to buy in more to the vision, and you can talk to them about their gifts and their talents and how you see them maybe being in a new position, in a new role. See, what happens is we hear this a lot from leaders. As they're on, I mentioned vision it's a destination, absolutely, but it's also a journey. And at some point on that journey, a leader goes, "Okay, we've started here, we're now here. Man, what got us and who got us here from there? I don't think it's going to get us towards that Mount Everest goal. I think we're going to have to maybe do some things a little different. I think we may have to put some people in some other roles. I think we may even have to say goodbye to some people." And you do that with dignity and honor and respect, and you help them, but you have to make those tough decisions, because otherwise you're going to just be right here in the middle. You'll be looking at that mountain going, "Man, that was a good vision. I wish we could achieve that, but I just don't want to hurt people's feelings. I can't make those tough decisions. It's so hard emotionally to tell someone, I don't think that this is the right position for them anymore." Vision gives you that courage, though. when you give people something to believe in, when you can give them something that they can belong to and become together, it gives you that courage to make those tough decisions. Vision helps you attract, retain, and structure your talent. Let me kind of wrap it up with this, gang. My leadership journey would have been very short. I would not be on this stage today. I think that every single person that we lead, they want that long-term perspective. And if I hadn't developed that long-term vision perspective, I'd have been fired that day. Maybe in another few months, if I hadn't figured it out. If I'd have just stayed in the day-to-day, putting out the fires, the tyranny of the urgent. Not that current reality is bad, but unhealthy current reality is bad. Absolutely. And that's what I had. I would have been gone. Everybody we lead, they've got a desire to know, hey, what are we going to belong to? Who are we becoming together? And where are we going? What's it look like? What are we going to build together? They need leaders with the perspective of long-term vision. You can deliver this to them. You can acquire this perspective by creating your vision, communicating your vision, and strategically using your vision. Your career may not need to be saved like mine, but I think every single one of us has more to give in this area. So let me kind of tell you how today is going to look, okay? For first-timers, you're going to go out and this is going to be your day to just start dreaming big. Maybe this is just blowing your mind, the idea of thinking out 5, 10, 15 years of where you want to take your 5-person team, your 40-person team, your 4,000-person team. Today's your day. As Daniel said before, trust the process. Dive into those 3 questions. Just start writing things down. Don't try to make it perfect. We've got coaches here that are going to help you. Just make sure you find them. Set up a coaching appointment with them. Trust the process. Just start getting things down on paper in your ideas, okay? There's going to be those of you that are like, okay, Dan, you got once again hearing out the experience. I'm hearing about vision. I've been there. I've done that. But maybe you're like me. See, I had created it, and I thought I could communicate it once, but really I didn't do anything with it after that. I didn't talk about it, didn't use it. Today's your day to pull that vision out again. Review it, refresh it, recommit to it. Create a communication plan. Think about how you're going to strategically use it. Dust off that thing. We've got a section for you that I'm going to walk you through in just a moment that'll help you with that. Now, there's those of you out there that are vision masters. You probably would have been the better candidate to come up here and speak on this stage. You've been living vision. You've been creating vision. You've been strategically using it. You have reached mountain peaks that I couldn't even imagine. But maybe you're at the top of that mountain, and you've been there a while. And you're at summit, and you've got the camp all set up, and you've started to put walls around everything that you guys have achieved, and your mindset is protect. Make sure nothing comes in to take away our market share. Make sure that we keep our financials in order. Make sure we've got people. You're all in protection mode. And what happens is that your head's been down for a while. You become maybe just a little complacent. And you didn't realize that, you reached that 11,000-foot peak, but there's a 15,000-foot peak out there. There's a 20,000-foot peak out there that you've got to go climb. For you vision masters, it's time to break down those walls. It's time to take down camp. It's time to get the gear out. And it's time to cast a vision that's going to get you from 11,000 to 20,000, from 20,000 to 30,000. For every single one of us in this room, the best is yet to come. Today's your day to start developing the perspective of long-term vision for your business. Your people desperately need you to have it.